and welcome to the Victorious Living Solutions podcast. I'm your host, Nikeya Young, and we have a very, very special guest with us today. And you see her lovely face. I'm going to tell you a few things about her. The lovely Miss J is a co-host on Joyce Meyer's Talk It Out podcast that approximately 6 million people have downloaded. So if you do not know, get in the know. It's a great podcast. Co-host on Joyce Meyer's Enjoying Everyday Life, syndicated in 2/3 of the world and translated in over 100 languages. She's a singer, songwriter. Do you still act, Jay?
I do.
I love it. Listen, you name it, she does it, okay? Amazing mom. She's been nominated for a hip hop album of the year. You've seen her or heard her or both with Lecrae, Tripley, Tadashi. She is just, listen, we'll be here all day reading.
Listen.
She is all the things. And I am so excited to have Jay. Welcome,
Hey.
welcome.
Thanks for having me. So glad to be here.
Oh, you are so welcome. So we're just having sister chat, okay?
We need it.
Fellas,
After the day we done had.
listen, okay? Today's episode, we are talking about when it all falls down. And basically, when you just have your plan and you done prayed over it and you just know that God is with me and I'm victorious and life is about to do this and life just does this, that, the third, everything else but what your plan was.
Right.
And so I really am excited to talk to you today, Jay, about this. And you tell me if there's something that you just like, we're going to pass on that, let me know. But
I'm pretty much at this point, I'm an open book. So yeah, awesome. I think that's the best way, especially after life has done exactly what you said, when it's taking those turns. I've learned that a lot of the things that I go through aren't even for me. They aren't even for me. So talking about it, being transparent about it as I go through it. So yeah, like I think that's therapeutic for me, but it's also able to serve the people that it's also intended to help, you know.
Amen. Amen to that. So I know you've talked about this on the Joyce Meyer show too, but just for my listeners who may not be aware, just give Cliff Notes, I guess, synopsis. She's like, how I'm supposed to do that? Of just kind of what happened. Jay has recently experienced divorce. And so that's one of the things, that we'll talk about and just kind of how you've been navigating that. Like any synopsis you feel like giving, what happened, how you've been coping since it happened, like, all of that. So
well, again, thank you for having me on here. And for those that don't know my story, again, my name is Jay and I live in St. Louis, Missouri. And I am a 40-year-old woman who was a virgin until marriage and recently have gone through divorce. And so I was married almost 20 years, and for it to just all of a sudden come crumbling down was something that was not only life altering, it was traumatic. It was faith shaking. It was also what I'm learning, maybe one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I'm evolving into who God wants me to truly be right now. But just taking it back a little bit, like I said, I'm from St. Louis. I'm a pastor's kid. So any PKs listening, hey, we can all talk about all of those stories on a whole nother podcast, because it's different being a pastor's kid. There are good times, but there are also lots of bad times, and trying to live up to that idea of perfection, or either the extreme opposite of being the trouble kid. Cause like you either are the straight A student or you're the wilding out kid when people think of pastors' kids. And so I always tried to lean towards trying to live towards perfection. I was one of those people that really didn't feel like grace really needed me much, because I didn't make many mistakes. I intentionally, tried to live a life of purity and the straight and narrow. And so then when I was 11, I met my ex. At the time, the love of my life. And I was 11 years old and knew that I was in love with this guy. And we were the same height at the time, because I was only 11, but he kept growing. I'm only 5'1". And he grew to be 6'7", and by the time I was 19, he had already done a lot of trash in his life. And I
Mm,
remember at one point, I remember telling him, "You could never be my spiritual leader," just because he was wilding out so bad. And but I forgave him because he was also like family from the very beginning because we'd known each other for so long. He and his mom had gone to our church for so long. And then when I was 20, we got married. My dad kind of forced us to get married. We were engaged, and I was born and raised in Church of God in Christ. So I was
mm,
Pentecostal background, very, very traditional, very, very um legalistic, honestly, where
mm.
like we couldn't even wear red, we couldn't wear pants. Back in the day, my parents couldn't even go to the movies, like things like that. And
Yeah.
so having a long engagement wasn't something that the church really smiled upon. Even though I was a virgin,
Oh,
wasn't thinking about sex, wasn't thinking about doing anything like that. I was very focused on my schooling, and I because I had accelerated in school so quickly. I was in my junior year of college, and I really wasn't trying to get married. I was like,
mm.
I want to commit to this person, but I don't want to be married yet. I don't want because I was a cheerleader. I was about to start
Yeah.
cheering for a semi-pro team. And so that part plays a big role in the story, because my father's control and who he was as a pastor,
Mm.
I pretty much distorted the voice of God for my dad's voice. And so I
Wow.
lean towards, okay, if my dad says it, then that means God said it. I really didn't seek God for myself. I would pray, but then I'd also talk to my parents and I would listen to my dad. And so my dad was basically like, either you're going to marry him now, or not going to be with him. And so in my mind, I really thought
Wow.
he had that kind of control over my life, where I was like, okay, cool. All right, we won't do the marriage thing. Fine. Like that's not what we're going to do. I mean, we're not the marriage thing. We're not going to do the long engagement.
Engagement.
I didn't
Yeah.
want to be married to him until after I finished college, because I was the
Mhm.
first person in my family to go from to a 4-year college in 4 years, and then I wanted to go straight to grad school. So I wanted a 6-year span of being dedicated to schooling, and so that got
Rightfully so. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
like I wanted to just stay focused on it, and of course, and reach other goals as well. But
Mhm.
little did I know I would be married the summer of my junior year, and then my whole senior year, I ended up pregnant. Like I was fertile myrtle and got
Wow.
pregnant really quickly. Like we got pregnant like my third month of being married, and so
Wow. Like
girl,
that escalated quickly.
girl. And so I'm walking around my senior year of college, huge. Look, I felt like the thing that I tried not to be, being a virgin all through high school, was like, I didn't want to be a teen mom. My mom was a teen mom, and she told me all of her difficulties of going to school and things like that while being
Mhm.
pregnant. And I didn't want that for me, but I still felt like that. I felt like a part of my college experience was somewhat robbed by the fact that I had to
Mhm.
submit my body, which I wasn't ready for sexually. I wasn't ready for sex at all. My body wasn't ready. Like at my first night of having sex, I was like this, like tense, I was just not ready for it mentally at
Yeah.
all. And
A
so,
lot.
yeah. And so then fast forward, we lived a churchy Christian life. I've done lots of things, toured with lots of people, Mary, like you said, Lecrae, all these awesome people, and done a lot of things in marketing, done a lot of things in ministry, worked with even like TD Jakes and like you
Mhm.
said, Joyce Meyer, done some amazing things around the world, but still married and super faithful, never cheated, even though I was on these tours with some of these raggedy men that did not care that I was married. Did not care that I was married, but I was
Mhm.
so faithful that I just even look at all. But then I remember having to have a hysterectomy in 2017. They found
Wow.
fibroids that they thought could potentially be cancerous. And so we removed them, and I had to have a hysterectomy. How old was I? Because I'm 40 now. Do the math, y'all. But I'll be 41 in a couple months.
Mhm.
But yeah, I had to have a hysterectomy, and I just felt also things in my marriage were really different. Like my ex,
Mhm.
I built this brand for him, and I put my whole heart into our marriage and our family and our ministry. I just gotten our nonprofit up and going. And then he was on the road a lot doing ministry work. He was praying for people healing. It was like lots of healing. He was super anointed with that. And then I just felt that like God was tugging at my heart to tell me something wasn't right. But whenever I would confront him, he would deny it. And so that
Mm,
happened for almost 3 years. And then finally I was just like, God, before 2020 comes, into like, because 2020, I was a worship pastor at a huge church in St. Louis and in
mhm.
West Palm Beach. And they wanted to do an entire revival about 2020 clarity. Every church wanted to do 2020 clarity
Yeah.
because I was the global worship.
2020 vision. Yeah.
2020 vision, honey. 2020. It's our time to talk about vision and clarity. I say,
Mhm.
get it, get. So they want
2020 was like, watch this.
y'all want to talk about clarity? Watch this shut down, okay? 2020 had a plan for us too, okay, baby. So we did the whole before we did the revival. I was like, I have to go on a fast, so I went on a 20-day fast. I didn't eat anything, just drank
Mm,
like water. And I was like, God, you got to show me what's going on because something's not right in my marriage. He
mm,
seems happier when he's out doing ministry than he is with me. Like something is not okay. And I started having dreams, y'all. 2020 clarity. Here we
mm,
go. And so I
mhm.
started seeing things. And then I found out, come fast forward through the whole thing, he was having an affair with one of my close friends that was married to another close friend. And so they had been having an affair for about 3 years. And then I was
Wow.
willing, because of all of my trauma that I had from being a pastor's kid and with my dad, just in life that I brought to my marriage, I was willing to work it out with him because I understood that whatever led him to that place of wanting something different, I was a part of that. I was a part of the
Mhm.
demise of our marriage being broken. Now, him cheating, I ain't got nothing to do with that. Him
Mhm.
getting in somebody's bed, that ain't got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But I was willing to own my part of it and go through counseling and seek help. Even though I told myself, if my man ever if he ever cheat on me, I'm done and I'm busting window. I wanted the whole moment. I didn't do none of that, y'all. I didn't do none of that. But then,
Mhm.
then he ended up moving out on me on Valentine's Day and served me with papers and moved to a whole nother state. And now he's remarried. So talk about life being turned upside down. My daughter's now in college, so I'm by myself and
A
starting over
lot.
at 40. So like what was my whole foundation for the past 20 years has completely changed. So yeah, that took a lot longer than what you thought, but and I could
No,
have gone
that's
longer. Child.
I know. No, you did a good job because that was like a whole season,
Lifetime
Netflix
season.
season, truncated into a few
It's
minutes.
like you binge watched the whole season.
How?
Ain't that
Oh,
something? Look, I gotta take a drink of
look, okay, because that's a lot. And you spoke there's a whole lot we can pick apart
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I heard you mention before that you got married young. And everyone would just kind of assume, oh, they probably because she got pregnant, and then the church is like, you if you get pregnant, you getting married is not no discussion. That's it. So it's very interesting that you talk about how no, like you were a virgin. It was not like
I was a
anything like that.
virgin, didn't even know what that thing looked like. Listen, I was such a virgin on my wedding night. I'm in the bathroom at the hotel, spazzing out like, oh God, what am I about to do with that? I don't know. I was like, ooh, can we just watch movies? Oh, don't know what to do
Girl,
with it.
whoo, that's a lot, and we're laughing, but no, seriously, like just there is not the church. That's a whole other podcast.
That ain't it though. Like, because here's the thing.
The church does not prepare you for
I
sex
didn't
at
even know
all.
what my anatomy looked like either because I thought even looking at myself was
Was
going to
probably
send me
wrong or
to hell,
something.
was
Yeah.
going to make me a pervert and send me to hell. Like that's how,
See?
but this is why now, post all of this, I'm able to look back and through a lot of therapy and a lot of time with God, meditation, praying, and just really self-reflecting. I'm able to look back and say, like, okay, I even started this with my daughter. Like, I made sure, like, I talk about all of this stuff with her
Yes.
from an early age because I never want another young lady that, for the sake of Christianity, not even know her own body. I didn't
Mhm.
even go to the gynecologist until I was like, I think I'm supposed to go there before I get married. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. So
Just like,
it's
what do I
that's
do? Yeah.
exactly, but that's one of those things too where life at that point, my life had flipped upside down because I'm like, I go from not even caring about that kind of stuff to then all of a sudden now having the pressure of being like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to be a wife. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to
Mhm.
give my body to some. I have to be naked in front of somebody. Like you know,
Like what?
like what am I like? So all of a sudden, I'm supposed to go from a nun to a stripper. I don't understand.
Right, right. It's like we spend so much time being told we can't even wear lipstick. We can't wear, nothing like as church girls. And then
Yeah,
it's like now all of a sudden you just so somebody's supposed to just flip a light switch and it's just like, woo, I'm sexy. Like, what
right.
is
I'm supposed to
sexy?
drop
Like,
it.
what does
I
that
don't know.
even look like?
Honey, I don't even know what I'm dropping. I don't know what drop it like it's hot. I don't even know. I don't even know how to warm it up. I don't know. I don't know how to drop it like it's hot. It's not even warm. I don't know what I'm doing. Like nobody
Yeah.
taught me this in Sunday school. Nobody. All of a sudden, like immaculate conception. That's what I heard. You know what I mean? Like
See.
nobody talk about all that stuff. So yeah, that was my first one of my biggest traumatic. It was traumatizing, and it honestly set my marriage up for failure.
Hmm.
Like it really did. Looking back, even though we lasted for a very long time, like I said, almost 20 years. The we were 2 months shy of
Mhm.
oh wait, no, 1 month shy of 20 years when we divorced. And so yeah, like the church has to take some responsibility. When I
Mhm.
say the church, I'm talking about religion, like the religious westernized church has to
Yes.
take some responsibility in some ownership in a lot of these like failed marriages because of my ignorance. I didn't even know how to even please my husband. I didn't know
Mhm.
what that was, but all of a sudden, I'm supposed to know
Just through
automatically.
osmosis. You just supposed to, yeah. Mhm.
What? I'm supposed to with the Bible. I'm supposed to put the Bible in my hand and figure it out. What? And because even when I was young, I would try to read the Song of Solomon, and I would get in trouble for that. I'm like,
See.
Mama, what does he mean that her breasts are
Yeah.
oh, you know? So, so yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But yes, that I think it did have something to do with the failure of my marriage. Nothing.
Mhm.
Now let's keep it clear. When I say that, I'm not giving him a pass on cheating on me because there's no
It's
reason to
not
cheat.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
not okay. There's no
Yeah.
justification. There's no reason. He can't blame it on the church. He can't blame it on my daddy, my trauma, me, my attitude, nothing. That ain't got nothing to do with it. Because all that stuff can be talked about, dealt with, and healed and move forward. Or we could come to a decision where an agreement where we can both agree that this marriage isn't working and we can
Mhm.
separate and part ways
Amicably. Yeah.
amicably.
Yeah.
There's no reason to cheat. There's just
Yeah.
none whatsoever. So there's my TED talk.
Girl. And there's a lot to pick apart in terms of the boundaries that oftentimes the way we're taught in church, we're not even taught that now boundaries is fashionable. Now boundaries is like this cool buzzword.
Trending word, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, boundaries. But we see you're 40, I'm 41. I do not claim millennial. I don't. I actually get offended when people call me a millennial
Right.
because my parents were born in the 1940s. And so, just by virtue of that, there's no way I could be a millennial. Like, if
Right.
you have old school parents,
Right. You got an old soul, honey. You
you
actually
have, yes,
55. You 55.
yes. There was no boundaries. There was no, because I said so, that's it. So, it was just like your parents' word was what it was. And so, the way you talk about your dad is just like, you got to get married. And you just like, okay, then I got to get married. Like kids today would just be like, no, mom, I'm not getting married. And no, like we would, our
If I didn't say
generation,
yes, my dad would have actually physically hurt me.
yeah, we
You
we
know,
we we got slapped a lot. Our generation, it
yeah.
was not no talking back.
No, not
Yeah.
none whatsoever. And God bless my parents. They did the best that they could. They only did what they saw. They tried to do better than what they experienced and saw themselves.
Mhm.
But you have to keep in mind, and this is why when I talk about on even on like platforms like Joyce Meyer, with that
Mhm.
huge organization, and I'm the only person of color on the talk show.
Mhm.
And I represent so many people that don't really get to speak about this on Christian platforms as far as like how racism and even slavery. I don't like to go too far back into that too much to dig too deep, but you think about it. My dad's mom was raised by my great grandma who used to also pick cotton.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you feel
That's
like
real.
you feel like it's so removed,
It's
but
not.
it's not. And so her way of shut your mouth, don't ask questions because she didn't want to get beat by her owner.
Mhm.
That's not something we like to talk about. She's the person that raised the woman who raised my dad.
Yeah.
You have to think about the fact that even my dad, who didn't know any better, you know, hit us often to the point like that it wasn't okay. But he
Mhm.
also was very dogmatic when it came to what I say go.
Mhm.
What I say goes. You don't ask questions, and then put on top of that layer, like you can understand, like my dad's a pastor, so that
Mhm.
those voices are distorted when I
Yeah.
didn't know if it was God talking or dad talking. Is this
Yes.
traumatized father or ordained pastor? Like so.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with things like that, and I think we need to
Yes.
talk about those types of things more often. And not
Mhm.
just during Black History Month, but that it has directly affected people like me that were
Mhm.
raised by people that were raised by people that were raised by people that were owned by white people.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's a whole situation.
Just trying to make sure your children know, excuse me, I'm like sniffling. Girl, I got a lot going on.
It's
But just to
okay.
make sure your children know that they have a voice.
Yeah.
My mother was very like, I got to make sure my child has a voice. So my mother, she did better at not being so dogmatic, but my parents split when I was 2. So my mom was a single mom. And then her sisters, I had like a team of mothers. It was weird. So my mom would just be like, try to be loving and understanding. I would say about 75 to 80% of the whoopings I got as a child was from people that wasn't even my mama. It's just like, you
I
need to whoop
remember getting
her.
whooped by my principal, my teacher. Yeah, my teacher used to have her ruler wrapped in electrical tape and soaking.
See,
She would go around the room. I'm like,
then pop it with the yardstick, like,
Go get a switch. Who are
yeah,
you? Oh, you mother boring. Okay, at church. Okay, like
yeah.
anybody had license to spank you.
These kids today, they have no idea. Community
None
butt whoopings
whatsoever.
were a real thing.
Yeah,
So
none
it
whatsoever.
wasn't, your parent could be the most understanding parent ever, but it's just like, it was this understanding. And I miss certain aspects of that era because now we've gone all the way to the other extreme where can't nobody tell me nothing and everybody's just hands off and these kids are just like terrorizing the community. So it's just like we done extremes.
Be balanced. There
Yeah.
definitely needs to be balance, but the fear that instilled in our generation,
Mhm.
it caused us to raise our children
Different.
lawlessly.
Yeah.
Because like, and not me, like, I mean, but the majority of my friends have
Mhm.
raised their kids that are my daughter's peers quite lawlessly because they were so traumatized by the abuse and
Yeah.
that we received when we were younger. And
Yeah.
so they wanted to be nothing like that with their children, so they've completely abandoned ship when it comes to any kind of discipline. But that
Mhm.
fear is what forced me into marrying at that point when I honestly didn't want to get married for at least another 4 years.
And
Like,
then had you waited and done it the timeline you wanted to do it, God could have revealed to you that this is not the person you should marry, or maybe you should get married, but I need some time to develop some character things in you and develop some character things in him,
yeah.
and then bring y'all together, and then things could have went differently. You never
Or
know.
I might not have married him at all. Like, there's one
Right. You
red
could have
flag
God
I
could
would
have showed you
think.
somebody else.
Exactly. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I noticed, one of the reasons why I was okay with it was because he had kind of like cheated on me as teenagers before. And I was
Mhm.
like, I need to see if you can handle a long-term engagement because a marriage is a lifetime. So
Yeah.
what my parents did with forcing me to get married at that point, they robbed me of the discernment that I had for my own self.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
and I used to say to my ex sometime, like, I really felt like you were my piece of chicken, but I got that chicken too soon and it gave me salmonella. It wasn't cooked yet.
It wasn't done.
It wasn't done cooking. And so I
Yeah.
ate it too soon and now I'm sick. And
Mm.
so I do think my parents robbed me of that period that I felt like I needed for our
Yeah.
relationship. So yeah.
Whoo-wee, girl. I'm looking at my questions and I'm just like, okay. Because we it's so much. Now, as you're going forward, and I'm sure reflecting on a lot of life lessons that you learned, because you can pick apart, how things in your upbringing set you up for that. You can pick apart just how you accepted some things that let's talk about that. How you accepted some things that the you are today since going through that, you're like, I shouldn't have accepted that. Tell me about that.
Oh man, there were so many things in my marriage that I know who I am now
Mhm.
won't tolerate.
Yeah.
Um, there was this wonder in being and seeing the potential
Mhm.
in him that I was
Mhm.
willing to put my things aside to help him move forward
Mhm.
and to help build what he needed to be because I loved him so much.
Yeah.
Never again will I put my things aside and the things that God's placed in my heart and that He's created me
Mhm.
to help a man. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to help a man. That doesn't mean
Right.
that.
But it
But
doesn't mean you have to put yourself on a sacrificial altar of sorts. Yeah.
that's exactly. I'll never do that again. I'll never
No.
pause the momentum that was divine. I
Yeah.
paused it. I put a screeching halt to what God was doing. I remember when I had just gotten offered a huge record deal, and I paused it to
Wow.
to help him build his brand and build his ministry and build his nonprofit that's no longer in existence. Like,
Wow.
you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
paused at least 5 years just to focus on him. And most of the
Oh my
things that I
gosh.
did for him in that time frame don't exist. And that's a risk you're gonna have to take whenever you invest in someone, whether it be
Mhm.
monetarily, creatively, spiritually, whatever. You risk the chance of it not bearing fruit.
Yeah.
That's what a risk is. And so, but I will never again, for the sake of love,
Yeah.
pause what I know God's telling me to do. I won't do it. I just will not do it anymore. So that's one thing. My health, my my physical health. I will
Yeah.
never let myself just go ever again.
Mm.
Because he didn't care if I wore baggy clothes, or he wanted me to wear baggy clothes, or he didn't care if I wore makeup or not, or things like that. I like that stuff for myself.
Yeah.
Never again will I look back sometimes at some of my photos, even when I was married, and I'm like, who was I? Like,
Mm.
what happened to me? The person I was before I married him, and I see myself coming back naturally now.
Mhm.
And I will never allow myself, even with think. I mean, of course, my weight gonna fluctuate because I'm a black woman. I'm curvy and whatever. I like
Yeah.
chicken sometimes, and ain't nobody gonna stop me from doing that. But as far as like balancing it out and working out and drinking my water and like eating healthy, and just
Yeah.
balance. I'll never put that on hold for the sake of being comfortable with a man ever again. Like, I look
Mm.
at myself in pictures after I had my daughter and I went through such a depression state. And that because I was so drastically changed from being a cheerleader, a size 0-1, to instantly becoming like a 1-0. Like, it was
Yeah.
like my body went through such a huge change at that time that I just felt ugly. And never
Mm.
again will I tolerate being with someone that I'm committed to, and them not affirm me while I'm at my lowest. Like,
Wow.
if we loving each other, like, he
Yeah.
never my ex never talked badly to me, but he never spoke me up. He never made me feel like a queen. He never made me feel beautiful. You know,
Yeah.
you know, it, I the same way I'm gonna uplift my man next go around, I need him
Mhm.
to match that energy.
Yes. Keep
Even when
that
I
same
feel
energy.
keep that energy up here, even when I go through my fluctuation of weight, or when I take my weave out, and
Yes.
you see me in my natural state, I still need you to think I'm fine. Like, I'm gonna get
Mhm.
finer, but I still need you to tell me. I remember one
Yeah.
stylist of mine was so mad when I was married. I was walking the red carpet at like the Double Wars or something. And he had custom made a dress for me, and it was like a bodycon dress. And I was probably like I was probably like a size 8. My goal size now, like I was probably like a size 8 at the time, but I still had that pouch. that little stomach pooch
The
because
baby pouch that
the
can
baby
only be
pouch,
surgically removed.
honey. And then I
Yes.
had that C-section on top of it, so it was just
Mhm.
hanging over. It's just she just was hanging out. And
I
so,
call it the kangaroo pouch.
honey, but I'm gonna get her snip, snapped off. Okay, she going somewhere. As soon as I get my coin up, this baby is out of here. But I'm
Hey.
saying, but at that time, I didn't want to wear that bodycon dress because I didn't like how it looked. I was like, I still look pregnant, even though my daughter's like 5 at the time.
Mhm.
And he was like, looked at my ex-husband. He was like, he should be rubbing that stomach and telling you that you're beautiful and thank you for bringing life to my child. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah.
So once he said that to me, that helped me realize like that's the standard I have for myself moving forward. Everything that I'm
Mhm.
insecure about, grant you, I need to find my security in Christ alone, honestly, and find my own self-worth and self-love. But whoever I'm sharing life with moving forward does need to affirm me when you know that I'm insecure about a thing. So those are some things.
That's huge. I'm so glad you said that because as women, we can be hard on ourselves because society just has these crazy standards of beauty that are like impossible for women to live up to.
Exactly.
But the person who is our person, for better or for worse, they should always be gassing us up. Like I will say this, that's something that I never really thought about until you said it just now, because that's kind of always been my norm. And over the years that Rodney and I have been married, he has always not just nothing fake about it. He has always loved every stage. And I have been like Oprah Winfrey, like this, her show. She said one time on her show, she was like, she got every size in the world in her closet. I promise, like,
All of them,
throughout the course
okay?
of our marriage, there have been some sizes that I just don't never want to see again. And when I was that size, he was just like, "You so beautiful." And I go back and I look at them pictures and I'm like, I ought to slap you. I was looking like the Michelin man. You sitting here talking about I was beautiful. You boy, why was you setting me up for failure like that? He was like, but you always been beautiful to me. And I'm just like, okay, we're gonna have some balance with this because
Right.
like I'm
Sometimes
glad you
it's
think
cute,
so,
baby.
but
I'm
sir,
glad you think I'm cute, but
don't let me get that fluffy no more. Don't let me do that.
right, for my own health, for my health. Like, don't let me
Yes.
do
Yes. So you guys, we're gonna take a pause really quick and we're gonna come right back because I have a couple more things I want to ask Miss J before we wrap up.